Good evening, good morning, good day, good night, good everything to you out there in the wide world. You're listening to Bongversations episode number 32, and
52.
we've got the wonderful Dave J. And I'm on the 11th of May, number 11, and Dave's on number 10 for
I
now.
I just went on to the 11th. It just turned midnight.
Went fantastic. So we're on the
Yeah.
11th and the
11:11.
2025, 11/11. So Dave,
Yeah.
you
Mhm.
you what amazing stuff have you got today? We were talking about. I sent you a thing last week on this new movie that's just come out called Clown in the Cornfield, and it's a
Right.
horror movie, and it's got a massive promotion behind it. It's someone they want you to see this movie. It's in all the newspapers. It's everywhere. So what do you think? Is
Oh yeah, that
another
was based. Yeah,
reflection?
it's based off of a 2020 book. So and it's also Friendo. It's Frendo's the name of the clown, right? So Friendo. So the idea of
Brendo the Clown.
a yeah Friendo, and within Scripture. You're at the so-called end times. You have a lot of passages and the idea of brother against brother or family against sibling. This rivalry or fighting. And if you take a look through whether it be sports or the news being broadcast, or you're going to see an increase at least lately, and it's going to keep going. An increase of just random, seemingly random. They're just plot points of of violence with those that you normally wouldn't see it. Meaning, and this will manifest even in the life of those listening. Yeah, when you go to the market and whatnot, you'll have people who are short tempered because when you are when you are spiritually affected by a news story or a concern, speaking of clowns, you have to live it. So unless you're a complete psychopath, you can you have some idea in your head and you separate it from your physical existence.
Yeah.
That's literally a psychopath. So with the clown in the cornfield, I did notice with um, the premiere that as it has to, as time goes forward into the death cycle, that the violence has to be more pronounced. Yeah,
Yeah, this is an
versus just
extremely
yes.
violent film. Yeah.
So I thought, let's just go back to the the Stephen King, character who is obviously the
Pennywise.
put there, yeah, Pennywise, who's put there to tell these different stories, whether it be misery or anything else. And this Joker, he wrote a book that was over 1,000 pages long, called It in 1986. That thing was 1,138 pages, and it, yeah,
11/11. 11
yeah,
11.
yeah, 1111, and then it deals with well, it has two timeline structures. The childhood, which is 1957 to 1958, and then the
Yep.
adulthood of the same characters. And get ready to take a drink. The seven kids. The seven.
Right, hang on, quick,
Yeah,
quick, 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 quick.
yeah,
Yes,
yeah,
right,
yeah,
straight away. Boom.
yeah.
It
There
didn't
you
take
go.
long.
Yeah, it didn't take long. And then the adulthood then takes place between 84 and 85. And of course, one of my favorite characters within that film was the John Ritter character. Although the fat kid, he was the fat kid
Yeah.
in the film. And remember when the greaser kids, the greaser boys, were all starting to bully him in the rock quarry at the beginning of the film. They're throwing rocks at each other, and then what happened is the fat kid, uh, which is what's his name
John
from
Boy
Three's
Walton was in
Company.
it as well.
Yeah, John Ritter. Yeah, John
John Ritter,
Ritter. Yeah.
and John Boy Walton, I do believe, is
Mm.
Richard. What's his name's in the movie as well?
Richard Thomas.
Richard Thomas. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So John Ritter, he's the fat kid who later in the adults part of the movie, the second part of the movie, it spends half his screen time explaining that yeah, he was fat, but now he's skinny. Yeah, so I they that was kind of a misused character. That the fat kid kind of gets the short end of the stick because he goes and he is what creates the bind of the 7 kids in the first part of it, because he bull rushes the greaser, and then he basically he takes them out. So he's what then brings them all together, which I found that interesting. So the big guy. So it's one of those things where you look and you say you don't judge a by its cover, type of stories.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So then and then of course it deals with it, or what it is. What is, which I want to bring that in. Now, if you have it, which is IT, which is also, if you think of today,
Interesting. Yeah.
information
IT.
technology, yeah,
Technology.
yeah, huh? And then
No
so if
coincidence, Dave. I'm going to
no,
suggest no coincidence. No coincidence. Yeah.
and you were just talking before we went live about the Tron. We can bring that in later too. So you have IT. So if you look at it in numerology, you have 9 for the I, and the T is
20.
20. So
It's
9,
11.
2, 11.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? So you have 11. Either way you flip it, you have 11. So then
Isn't it amazing? Isn't
mhm,
it? Do you think it's a coincidence? I'm
no.
going to say again, there's no
Nothing. Yeah.
coincidence.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No
Yeah.
coincidence. So on the Kabbalah tree of life, and the reason I put this in is because all of this, that all Hollywood, all of this is going to be chaos, what's called chaos magic, and it's manifest through what can be seen as the Kabbalah, or the return, or return loop. Now the
Yeah.
11 is a master number, which doesn't need to be compounded to make a 2. It's a 2 by itself. It's just 2 1s standing there. So then if the one I'm talking about, if the person then looks at it, and that's the concern, that's the 11, that's the false idea, that's the clown or the red balloon. If they look at that it and then they decide to follow it into the sewer, they're 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 going to go ahead and lose their balance, and then guess what happens? That becomes what is. Now is the Bill Clinton character back when he was president, and he was and they had the Monica Lewinsky hoax.
Yes.
He was saying that it depends on what is. That was his big takeaway line at the beginning, and it does
Which
depend
is
on.
not, which is also ISIS, if you speak
Mm-hmm.
phonetically. It's so ISIS. Yeah.
Yeah, and ISIS is nothing more than the idea of the woman,
Yeah.
or like the Mary character, the moon, uh, the fallen light or half light. Now even if you spell it IZIZ, which is going to be 926, which reduces to 17 7 8 8 16 7. That makes your 7. But if you just stick with the is like ISIS, that's going to be 919, right? So then
Yeah.
yeah, so then that's going to, you always have uh, if you take 19, that's going to be 10, and you have 9, so you have 19 again. That's the
Yeah.
metonic cycle. So
Yeah.
either
The
way,
moon.
it's like it
ISIS.
depends.
And
Yeah,
that's moon is ISIS,
yeah,
moon is
yeah,
ISIS as well. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
exactly.
Gotcha.
So you see
Yeah.
how everything, it's like it's math, so everything's going to balance. If you
Well,
look
even
at
the
it,
fact, Dave, that
yeah.
we're both talking on the 11th of the month
Uh-huh.
at the same time, and we never planned this, but we're just talking
Uh,
about 11s constantly already. So it's
yeah,
fascinating how
yeah,
these things happen. Hmm.
yeah, yeah. So then if you look at that, you add those, so then you see that you can see the balance, and now you can keep going with that, as the 11 is also seen as a gateway, because it represents the false 2. The false 2 is a false concern. Now remember that if you follow a false 2 into the reflection, guess what happens? It looks like a 4. So it creates this false door, or dalet. So the clown is representing a false way, or is baiting you into some sort of misbehavior. Think
Yeah.
about think about that as anything. Think about that as any story, all the war hoax stuff, all of this stuff that you have to, if you actually inventory your own thought. and you place on one side everything that you know in fact is a hoax, and then you try to look at the other side of what you still for some reason believe, or spread or spin and spread out of your mouth. You have to then balance those, what's best called logically. um, but if you can't balance those, if you back and forth against each other like we just did with the is, then you have to dismiss what's not true,
Yeah.
unless you want to lie to yourself and become a clown.
Yes, there you
Yeah.
go.
So then let's start. So then you have also 11. You have the 11 is if you have the towers, the twin towers, right?
Yep.
Those are
Yep.
11. Now, if you push the bottoms together or you push the top together, either way, and you make contact, that creates the idea of a V, right?
Yep.
Or the idea of the fifth
Or a
age,
pyramid, or
or
or a pyramid upside down. Yeah.
yeah, or guess what? 22. The V is the
Yep.
22nd letter, which is 1111. Right. So then,
Fascinating.
yeah. Also, guess what? Those that follow this red balloon, because it's a self-inflicted wound or a self-inflicted deception that you chose to go after. The same "do what thou wilt" will be the whole of the law is 11 letters.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
Or
exactly.
11 words, sorry.
11 words. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so you see that the 11 is there for a reason, because it's offering you another way, but it's a false way. And then it creates this feedback loop: 1, 2, 3, 3, 2, 1, 1, 2, 3, or better yet, 3, 6, 9, 3, 6, 9, 3, 6, 9.
Yep.
You never get to a true input output IO, or you never get to the kingdom, which is 10. And I should explain that. So within this, and I talk about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and then 10 being the input output. Within what's called Kabbalah, and this is what they use, this is so that you know, you have one being, and you were talking about it earlier, which is sometimes spoken about as Metatron, but it's really just the crown, or what is the light that leads you. What is that manifestation? Basically, your God. That is your God. In my case, it's my Lord Jesus Christ, who is God. That is my God. Therefore, you have a crown. That's one. Wisdom is two. All right. Understanding is three. So what happens is when you have this feedback loop, you are the crown. Your own thoughts become your own it. You become your own God. You then live off of wisdom and understanding, which you have somehow gained and gleaned by yourself. And thus you just, like a human centipede, you just feed on your own leavings, on your own scat.
Yep.
So you get 1, 2, 3, 3, 2, 1, 1, 2, 3, and you get stuck in that ring loop, 3, 6, 9. Do you see? 3, 6, 9, 8. So then what happens is because you went into the 11, and the 11th spot in Kabbalah is the idea of death, or dath, Daath. That's
Double
also known.
A T
Yep,
H.
th. You can
Okay.
think of it as death because it's also known as knowledge, and you shall have the knowledge of
Right.
good and evil. See?
So we're going back to
Yeah. Yeah.
the Adam and Eve story with the
Well, yeah,
serpent.
because you became one of the dirt people, the golem. You
Yeah,
chose
that's
to be
important.
golem.
Yeah, listen to the last
Yeah,
episode. I think it's the
yeah,
last episode. The
right.
last two we bring up golems and
Yeah,
Man of Earth, and I think, but the
yeah,
reincarnation episode, which is two ago, I think.
right.
So we'll always have to go back. Anyone listening to this, you need to go back. You need to go back and listen to the beginning, all these shows we've done prior to this, to make sense of this, where we're
Oh
getting
yeah,
to. Because every show's better than the last one.
yeah,
So
yeah,
it's always the way it goes.
yeah. So then what happens? Check this out. So you get stuck in that, and guess what? Number 4 is mercy. So what was taken from, right? So then you're stuck in nothing but your own head, wisdom and understanding that you have somehow brought upon yourself. You've decided that unless I decide if I believe it or not. It doesn't matter if it's true or not, because most people don't take the time to test things and to dismiss what's not true, regardless of it. Even if they love it, if it's not true, you got to toss it. So then mercy, or number 4, is taken out of the way. It gets short circuited. I showed you, and if on the video, I'll have at this point in our talk, the same chart I sent you. It's quite easy to see that what happens is a half note, a half beat gets taken out in the obvious, sawtooth sine wave or sawtooth waveform, which we kind of talked about last week, and
This
that's
short
also,
form episode.
yeah, that's called a half note. What's interesting about a half note is that the half note is also can be seen as the 0-1-2 or the cross keys, or what sits as if you see Masonic art, you'll see a skull with 2 crossbones,
Yes,
or
big
you'll
time.
see the Vatican has 2 cross keys.
Yeah,
that is a representation of this 11 crossed, meaning that all of those institutions that use that symbology are a waste of time. They're
yeah, and
all,
nothing more obvious at the moment. I keep looking whenever I
yeah,
see the new Twitter logo, which is X. To me,
yeah,
it's the two ones falling over
yeah,
each other.
yeah,
That's all it is. Yeah,
yeah. So that, yeah, so you're there, and then what happens is there's this the normal flow of thought. So then what happens is the person who has their own crown, their own wisdom, their own understanding, and they live without that, they lack mercy. They lack the idea of what severity is, because severity is how one acts to another, and how then they should see what that does to that person. They have no
mm,
empathy, is a better way to look at that. They
yeah,
have no beauty, they have no victory, they have no glory, they have no foundation, and they for sure don't have any kingdom, because kingdom you do not get to, because kingdom is the IO, it's the true, it's the 10, it is the only given by the mind of Christ. And that's and Jesus says in John 3:5, for example, Jesus answered, because they said, how do I get to the kingdom? And Jesus says, truly, truly, I tell you, no one can enter the kingdom of God unless he is born of water and the Spirit. So
fantastic.
you were born of
You can't be
water.
a golem.
Yeah,
You can't be a
yeah.
golem.
Mm-mm. You can't be a golem, man. You got to become, you have to remember who you are. You got to stop being this manly or world person. You got to leave all that behind. You got to return to God naked, not childish, but as a child.
As a
So
child,
then,
yeah. Yep.
childish is something completely different. That's the one who's looking at that red balloon and constantly going after it. And so
Yep.
so the It movie, um, or the I wanted to cover the uh, in the It movie, you have a shapeshifter known as Pennywise. We talked about that. And in the what was the name of the one guy who played him in the? He kind of had a
The original one was the same guy that by coincidence who
uh-huh.
played Count Frankenfurter in the Rocky Horror Picture Show, which I've been talking about
Tim
on
Curry.
some of the shows. Tim Curry, yeah, he
Yeah,
was the
yeah.
original
Okay, yeah.
Pennywise. Yeah,
Oh yeah, excellent. So then you have Tim Curry. He's playing Pennywise, who is really the iconic Pennywise, more so than the one that comes in the
I've never even
2017,
heard of it. Yeah,
2019.
the
Yeah,
new one I've never even heard for. But
yeah,
Curry is an incredibly
yeah,
that guy's been in a lot of stuff.
yeah.
He also plays a demon, the devil in the movie with Tom Cruise when he's in the back in the I forget the name. It's one of Tom Cruise's first movies when he's back in the kind of Dungeons and Dragons thing.
Hmm.
And Curry plays Satan in that movie as well. So he's
Ah,
always been very important actor that keeps popping up playing very similar roles.
well, you'll like this next part, because Pennywise, the so-called dancing clown, is what's referred to in the book, at least, or even in the movie, as a cosmic entity, meaning
Yeah,
and it comes from a dimension called the macroverse,
yeah.
right? And then and you can see the character through what's called deadlights.
The
Deadlights.
Deadlights, yeah. The
Yeah.
deadlight,
So,
exactly. And he
mhm.
also forms a spider. It turns into a spider, I do believe, in one of
Yeah,
the last bits of it.
yeah. That's at the end of the first one for sure.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So and now it awakens in this town every 27 years. Now, and it
It is
27.
number
Yeah,
nine. There you go.
yeah. But
Yeah.
you also have two sevens. Now, remember what two sevens make is a doorway. Because if you take your,
The
remember I
Dalet,
told you, if you
yeah,
take,
the
it's
number
Dalet,
five.
if you take your gun fingers and make two little pistols, two sevens, and you put them together, you can make a door or a window, or even you can
Yeah,
make a pyramid.
yeah.
You can make a pyramid. So you have the two sevens, and so every 27 years, so you had when you watch the children go through, and it feeds on fear, and they realize that it feeds on fear. So what they do is they do a ritual called the ritual of Chud, and the ritual of Chud is really just a way that all of the everyone who's involved in the party has to show courage, has to show unity, and has to show belief that they can overcome the fear and the trauma of whatever uh, vision this it is giving them, whatever. And this manifests in so-called real life through people, through your mind. All of a sudden you'll have a thought of regret from something you did this
Mm.
back and the other.
Thought,
You have to say,
please, thought form.
yeah.
The thought forms,
hmm
yeah.
You have to say, Satan, get behind me, because that's a
Yeah,
false input. That's a false IO. Say 10. So say SAY 10. Satan.
yeah.
So you said to yourself a false IO. It got brought, dismiss it. So that's how you then, through courage, unity, and knowing what you then fight the so-called knowledge of this it. And then thus your temple, your mind is clear of these confrontations which will come, and those confrontations by Satan in this place, which is hell, is brought onto you daily to try to put you into fear and to try to give you trauma if you allow it.
Yeah,
What is
yeah,
yeah,
absolutely. Yeah.
yeah. Now you also know that the 27 is one of the big kind of hoaxes is the
The
27 Club.
27 Club. Yeah,
Remember?
yeah. But how many are there? Jim Morrison, Janis,
Well, you have Robert. It starts with
Janis
Robert
Joplin,
Johnson,
Robert
Janis
Johnson,
Joplin, Jimi Hendrix.
Crossroads. Remember that one,
Yeah,
everyone. Robert
Pete.
Johnson went to the Crossroads. Mm.
Yeah, Pete Ham. You had Chris Bell, who was. You had Kurt Cobain. Did you say that? You
Kurt
had
Cobain. Yep.
Amy Winehouse, who became
Yes.
Man Gaga,
Lady Gaga.
Lady Gaga.
Lady
Amy.
Gaga.
So here's the thing, though. It's like so. Then why would you? It's like now. Does Kurt Cobain want to sing Teen Spirit for the rest of his freaking life? He's like,
No.
nah. He's like, nah. Check me out. Put a white lighter in my pocket. I'm done. Because that's another little side trip is that some of the latest ones the story will say they have a white lighter. They were found with a white lighter.
That's
Yeah.
interesting.
hmm
That's not just a MacGuffin, or that's a
It
real
is. It's really like a symbol because it's a light, but it's a symbol to
a white
those.
light.
Yeah, it's a symbol to you. Let's say if you or somebody else. Oh, okay. That's like the don't worry about it signal.
Yeah,
It's
like
like
the
the
number
33.
33.
Yeah, it's like the
Yeah, yeah,
33.
yeah.
Don't sweat it.
And now, just interesting, the next episode, guys out there that are listening, it's going to be a good one because it's going to be on 33, and it's the episode 33. So it'll be
Yeah.
coming up in the next couple of weeks. Be
Yeah.
told.
And I'll tell you right here for the 3 is the G is the 7. So
Mhm.
33 is 77 if you look at it as being GG, which it is.
Yep.
Because that's why in Masonic art they have the G, because they worship the idea of 3 and the 7, because the 3 is the ring and the 7's the idea of mind. So the ring of mind. A ring
Yeah,
rung. A ring rung.
a
You
ring
know?
rung.
A ring rung goes round and around
And
to
notice
forms
that
a clown.
that's right. And notice Hollywood and the same characters are all popping up. There's the Lord of the Rings. There's
Rings,
this
rings. Yeah.
clown. and the corn motif. Now, do you want to speak a little bit about the corn motif? Because guess who, the Ronald McDonald character that you've got as a president of America at the moment with the orange hair, he's one of his spiritual advisors is Jenny Korn with a K,
Right.
Korn. So there's a there
Well,
for sure.
yeah. Well, you have knowledge, which you remember is that a spirit, which is
Yeah.
knowledge or death. Now, knowledge starts with a K, and that's important to know K. But then, children of the corn is nothing more than those who are children of who are Gollum, who are children of the mud. They claim to be mud people that by their own choice. They claim to. It's like they think that they were formed from the dust because they haven't realized who they are. They don't
This
know
is
who
really
they are.
important stuff. This is
Yeah.
really important stuff, and this goes back to a couple of episodes ago. We were talking about the reincarnation, the
Yeah.
Adam and Eve story. So again, go
Yeah.
back and listen.
Yeah.
This is important, really important. Good, keep
Well,
going,
yeah.
Dave. You're doing it again.
Well, and
Doing it
then
again.
so yeah, you also have this with the it or the clown motif or the knowledge or what you were talking about
IT.
the children of the corn is
Yep.
that you have the children of what is it, what is the clown, that goes back, that's already been told. If you go back to 1 Enoch 15:8, for example, with the R.H. Charles translation, it talks about that. It says, now the giants who were produced from the spirits and flesh shall be called evil spirits upon the earth, and on the earth shall be their dwelling. So that means that the spirits, so you have the flood, and we talked about this with the main four elements, and then of course ether, or the idea of the
That's right.
fifth. And then so you have the first two being used, which are air and water, and then the ark is the idea of the continued life. What then remained in the air but the spirit of the giants, which was said to be left to cause torment to men through the only way that they can speak to you, through your mind.
That's right. Thought
That's it.
forms. They
Thought
thought
forms. Yeah.
forms. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So
And
then
guess who's
that's,
doing that too? The media. The
yeah.
media.
Well, that is the way it works, though, is you have a news. Well, a lot of the people in media are just uh, wage slaves, meaning they have no morality. They have no, best word
Do
to
you
say is
think?
no
Do you think
soul.
they could?
Yeah.
Clearpot. These husks of empty
Yeah.
shells that are roaming around.
Hmm.
Do you think the
Oh
news,
yeah.
most of the newsreaders would be called Clearpot because
They
that's what they are, empty husks repeating
they
lies?
become that. Look at
Okay.
you can follow these characters when you see them as real individuals, and they what they do is they pursue a life in that business, and you can see over the years how they degenerate and then become something that's unrecognizable
Oh, that's
because
for sure.
it,
Especially that.
yeah,
Remember the characters that got introduced the day of 9/11.
yeah.
A lot of a lot of media stars appeared out of nowhere and became big stars on that day. And you've
Hmm.
still got them in your life, I do believe. I can't remember off the top of my head their names, but there's some big ones out there.
Well,
And these
that's like,
people are just
oh, go
sitting
ahead.
lying to you. Oh, sorry.
Well,
No, you
well,
go.
that's like if you were in the 60s, 70s, riding your banana seat bike, while people
Hey,
were,
I had one. I
yeah,
had
me
one.
too, man. I had my Schwinn banana seat, and I'm riding, and then you're gonna listen. Some guy's got his garage open, he's fixing his car, and he's playing some vinyl record. Little did you know or expect that you were going to hear that flippin' song for the rest of your life. You know,
Yep.
because so it's put out. You heard it when it was so-called brand new, and if it's like a rock classic XYZ, if it's one of those that's deemed, that's one of those from the crew, because the only way that these crews make money is through what's put through or called royalties. So then,
Yep.
if every talented person had the same opportunity, so called, then the wealth would be quite spread out. The reason that you have record companies who are of course run by you know who's,
Oh yeah.
are so
And,
are
named
yeah,
so, always named so.
yeah,
They always got the names are always in the, and
yeah,
the director. Yeah,
yeah,
100%.
yeah. So then that keeps what most people hear to a very small group, and you're only hearing the best of that class, of those of their families. It's like, what do you want to be? Oh, you this, that, or the other thing. And of course, we already talked about the two different sides. You have the one side who pretends to be holy, and then you have the other side who is really amoral. And then they of course they are the ones that produce, you know, pornography and all that. They don't care about that stuff because they're just feeding the goy. Then you have those that pretend to be more holy and whatnot, and they'll produce or religious texts or movies and things, but none of them will tell you the truth because they are of their father Satan. They are like, again, those who I spell it GEW. They are the Masons. They're
Yeah, the
all of them.
gang.
The
I call it.
whole all
I
together.
like to refer to them as KC and the Sunshine Band,
Yeah.
even though like I was talking about that the other day because it's K. These people worship the sun. They're
Yeah.
obsessed with the 360, the
Yeah.
360, which is so what's 360. 6 million divided by six is 360,000. There's a there's a the constant numbers that they keep having to use to
Yeah.
keep you in the spell.
Yeah. There's only it's chaos, man.
Yeah.
And we talked about all of them. You're only going to go to the 10. The 11 is the false door. So if you're into that mess, you're into what's called a fun house. You're into a hall of mirrors because you're not actually going anywhere. You're not.
No.
If you go into this death or knowledge, which this is the what's given to you in the story as the fruit, or the fallen idea, or the eating
The apple.
the apple, so called,
Mm.
that then you chose to fall in there, so you become the hangman. And of course, within the so-called tarot system, you become the hangman, which is the 12th. And then that, of course, is what? The 3. So it's the fallen ring.
Exactly.
So,
And you saw, and I
yeah,
just have to reiterate,
yeah,
the guy that you saw falling with a perfect hangman position on
yeah.
9/11
hmm And so
just
you
happened.
saw it. Yeah, so he's the 3. You seeing it, believing it becomes the 3. 3, 6. Guess what
9.
happens? 9.
Yeah.
That becomes your
Boom.
idol. So that
Yeah.
guy falling becomes your idol, and people will get all wet-eyed and ridiculous looking at this thing that is just it's a composite. It's all BS. It's not
Yep.
real.
And
Because
I'll just have to I
uh-huh,
just have
go
to
ahead.
shout out to Sean from Austin, Texas. I think he is SMJ, when he discovered that the guy that was doing that falling trick was the brother of the lead singer of the Village People. There's no coincidence there. There's
Right.
he was a minor celebrity making a little bit of extra money, posing upside down with his leg and ankle in exact the position of the hangman on the tarot card. So be
And
told.
yeah, and that Trayvon Martin did the same thing. The Trayvon Martin
He did.
hoax
He did.
did the
Yep.
leg thing. The so-called Russian ambassador ambush did the same thing. So
Yep.
that's another one. And also ladders. Within all these stories, there's going to be a ladder. The ladder is
That's interesting. That's
the
interesting.
ladder is the idea of Jacob's ladder.
Oh, okay.
Now, yeah, Jacob's ladder, because Jacob's ladder is, well, in two things. Jacob's ladder is one, access to the realm above, in the straight sense of the spiritual idea. However, Jacob's ladder in on the earthly surface is if you have a Jacob's ladder, you have the spark going between the two wires, and then when you get to the end, guess what? The energy dissipates into the air, into the ether. That is actually a manifestation of what everyone's on. Is they're on their own
Yeah.
Jacob's ladder, and the
Well,
choice is that you continue forever, meaning that you have death has no sting, which is in my case, or you simply dissipate.
dissipate.
That's it. That's the two choices. So then this
Sorry.
whole, oh yeah, this whole place is about getting that right because you only have this one time to do it. You have whatever time that you've been allotted to get it right. That's it.
Yeah. And
There's
you're
no,
here
and
now listening to some important stuff.
yeah.
Important stuff. There's now you're getting some really good listenership for heavyweight stuff, Dave. I've got to say,
Oh yeah.
you cannot expect big numbers to listen to shows that are this kind of at this level of stuff. And you, well done, your YouTube platform,
Oh
Dave
yeah.
J. It's Dave J. Look it up on YouTube. Well, if you're listening to this, you're watching it on that.
Yeah.
Fabulous stuff. Yep, fabulous stuff.
Yeah. So, and if you kind of like, if you want to even go back further, with the kind of, storyline before Stephen King, you can look at some H.P. Lovecraft or Ray Bradbury stories,
Oh
which is
yeah,
obviously
guaranteed.
which is kind of where he got his influence too on some of that stuff.
For sure. Well, I remember in the 70s that there used to be a magazine called I think it was called Asimov, which was named after the science fiction writer.
Hmm.
But there used to be a really good magazine that had all short stories by Bradbury and all the guys you're just talking about.
Yeah, Bradbury's big story, or at least the closest one that would be to what I would say, if somebody asked, would be Something Wicked This Way Comes.
Oh yeah,
It's
fantastic.
yeah, yeah,
Yep, yep,
and
yep.
then uh, mm, and then
Oh, he had a number of great stories
yeah,
though.
for sure. So then, and they were also so you had the seven members. Remember, we talked seven of the characters, and they were also called themselves the Losers Club because those that do find their way out will become to the world the outcast, the one who's seen as crazy and blah 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 XYZ.
Yeah, which is us. Which is us.
Yeah. So you become the Losers Club. So then just
Well,
yeah, go ahead.
no. I was just saying
What?
it's
Oh.
exactly. They always have to make you feel a bit like a conspiracy theorist, or
Hmm.
you're outcast, or whatever. But in actual fact, you don't want to be part of this world. So being an outcast of this world is a good thing.
Oh
You
yeah,
got to
for
reverse
sure.
engineer these words and look at it as a positive. That's why I'm proudly call myself a conspiracy theorist. I don't care what people think about me. I don't believe that what I've been told in mainstream media is true, and I believe there's at least more than two people have come up with this idea. So therefore, it was a conspiracy. We
All right.
breathe out, conspire. It's
Conspire. Yeah, yeah,
yeah.
yeah, for
Hmm.
sure, man. So they're supposed to be coming out with uh another episode. I'm hoping it's not going to be the same guy doing it as when they in 2017 they came out with an It Chapter 1, and in 2019
It
they
made
came out with Chapter 2.
okay. Well, it
Yeah,
made money, so they'll be
yeah,
doing a third one for sure.
yeah. And then so you if you watch Chapter 1, that movie is going to be the children aspect of it, and if you watch Chapter 2, that's when they become adults. And if you watch the original 1990 TV series, one, it's a bit low budget, but the whole story takes place in one fell swoop. They
Hmm.
put it all together. Well, the new one's supposed to be called Welcome to Derry, and it's supposed to actually go into Pennywise's origins, which we've already talked about. They're going to have to somehow work in the occult side of that, because that's really
Well,
where that.
well, well. If you've
Uh,
read the book, as you and
yeah.
I both have, and I read it when it first came out back
Mhm.
in the 80s, I guess. I remember reading the last chapter and thinking, this doesn't
1986.
back
Yeah.
the. But okay, well, I was reading it and I was going, this look, it doesn't make any sense. It was really good up until then, and then it went really, really, really deep into the deadlights. Then you had a vision of Pennywise as a meteorite or a shooting star coming to Earth, and it
Lucifer,
always they
like
keep Lucifer, yeah,
Satan.
exactly, and they keep saying he's always been here. Pennywise has always been
Yeah.
here. So therefore, I do believe that's the representation of a Lucifer character.
Yeah, Lucifer,
Um,
Satan. Like the Satan is the idea to me. I said, as far as the Satan is the visual
Deceiver.
idea given to someone in their mind. the
Oh,
input
yeah,
and
yeah.
output. The Lucifer is simply the light that's gleaned from. So the Lucifer is that fallen light that is followed. That would then be the 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 stars or the lights dancing.
Yeah, and it also, of course, as you brought up before, the IT, the fact
Right.
they called it is the IT, and IT is in your face all the time with your computers, and
Mm-hmm.
this is what Dave, because you've got this knowledge of building computers and programs and things like that, you can see this. For me, I've had to listen to you to get this
Right.
knowledge. I couldn't see that. I didn't understand input output. Um, you
Right.
know,
And just the fact
Tron.
that if you send an email and it bounces back to you, that
It's a demon.
mailing demon. So
Yeah.
then, and you know that, and you know that I think we talked about this before, that just within, even within the computer books, the words used, that a demon program will go out. It does one. It doesn't need the user to tell it to execute it. It executes on its own. But it also
and they
then,
and they and they
yeah,
have to use the word execute
yeah,
as well.
execute, because it also forks. It can also fork orphan files. So
And what's
so
the
it, you.
what is the what would you call it, the classic image of Satan? He walks around with a fork,
Mm-hmm.
you know.
Yeah, and
So
then
yeah.
the orphan files would be those that would be representative of the so-called losers club, those that have figured out that it's a lie and they're getting out. Those are the ones that are gone after. You don't need to worry about if you're let's say if you're a outer worldly gatekeeper and you're above so-called mankind and you're just looking. You're not worried about the ones who are doing they're playing their roles. You're not worried about
No,
the ones who are
you want the guys that have said no, I want no part of this. I do
right.
not want any part of this. That's the
So
ones that you're targeting.
and they
Hmm.
become what's called an orphan file, one that's no longer
Well,
working, and they're the. However, there is a protection, which is Christ. So that's the
yeah.
way out, and that's the door. That's that four. Remember, that door that got blackened out in that schematic I sent you. Well,
Yes,
Christ
interesting.
replaces that door. It
That will
gives you the
be
right.
on the imagery of this
Yeah,
show, I take it.
yeah, it sure will. I'll put it in a few times so you can see it.
Interesting, Dave. I haven't gone into this deeply, but I'm telling
Mm-hmm.
you, in Asia,
Mm-hmm.
particularly Vietnam and Cambodia and places like that, there Dalet is a city,
Mm-hmm.
Daleet. There's an awful lot of cities in Asia named into these same
Mm-hmm.
old Hebrew Kabbalah, or except
Right.
ancient knowledge names. They're not, that can't be an accident. It
No, it's
cannot be an
not.
accident.
Yeah,
Mm.
well, especially knowing that where you're at. I mean, there's no about it. So
Yep.
you're in. This is what is called hell, or referred to as hell. This is the place where you get it right, or you get or you dissipate.
Or
And
you
while
repeat.
you're here, no, you don't repeat it. You don't come back. It's one time and done. One and done. The time right now that you're conscious that you know you exist right now, you can pinch your finger and you know you exist. This is it.
Yep.
When that feeling goes away, you either get it right and you're through the door with Christ,
Or
or you
you're gone.
dissipate. That's it.
Cleafot. Cleafot.
Done.
Gone.
Zero.
You. Yep.
Over.
Okay.
You know that's the ones who want to talk about reincarnation. That's those who want to keep screwing around. They want to keep doing what they want to do. They're the same ones who are stuck in that loop. So if you want to follow somebody into the abyss, that's probably the the teacher you want to go after is one who is worldly, one who's chasing money, one who doesn't want to know
Oh,
the
there's a lot
truth.
of them out there. There's a lot
Yeah.
of them out there. And there's one particular very, very big, I forget his name, he's an American. And every time I see him, he does these big live shows
Mhm.
for business people when they all walk on fire. And he actually, when I listen to him talk, he actually sounds like he's possessed.
Oh yeah.
He looks. I'll send you a. You'll know his name. He's a big American. He's living in Australia now, I do believe. But he has these big, huge conferences, and everyone's there chanting and yelling out positive. You know, these are the people you got to be wary of, that are
Tony
telling you
Robbins?
that there is him. That's the
Oh,
one.
oh,
Tony Robbins.
he's
You know,
horrible.
that guy. Don't you think when you see him, he's now becoming more and more manifesting into his actual internal self as a demon, because
Oh,
he's got
yeah.
a really, his voice is getting more and more. His face changes. Have a good look at Tony Robbins and see if you want to follow his advice and become really rich, because you're going to get really rich in this world, which is not a good thing. I'm just going to say that again. Be careful.
Yeah, yeah. It's going to be the that gap,
Yeah.
and Lazarus is going to be farther and farther away.
Yep. 100%.
There will be no
100%.
finger to drip water onto your parched tongue for all their money.
Exactly, because that's what they promise you. And luckily, I have to say this. Luckily, I've never worshipped mammon. Is
Yeah.
to be. I would rather do what I do for work
Mm-hmm.
and be able to listen to truth
Mm-hmm.
than to be wealthy and rolling around in my swimming pool and exploiting people and whatever. Money is, as I said, the love of money is the root of all evil, and it's in the Bible. It says that, and that if you worship that that and that basically it's an S with two towels in the middle of it, the
Yeah,
original
the
logo,
11. Yeah.
the
So you
the
have,
original logo.
yeah, you
Yep.
have the S with the 2, and if you even if you want to just say the 1, it's gonna. If you want to say 1, it's 19. It's 119. All
Yeah.
right,
No,
and then if
no,
you want
I'm
to
backwards.
add the other one, add in just in the, yeah. So so then that's why you see things get changed too, because it's just symbology. Just
Mm,
like, speaking about symbology, if you look at the latest Pope character who took the name of Leo the 14th. Now the
yep.
14 is of course the double 7 or the 5, but the 14 is XIV. Now if you overlay the X and you put the if you write an X down on a piece of paper, and
Yep.
if you put the I on top of the X like a hat, like a across the top, boom. And then if you take the V and you put it on top of the X, but just leave a little bit of the lower legs extended past the corner, you've
Yep.
that's the sigil of Lucifer.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
it's the
And guess
same.
what?
Yeah. So
He,
it's the same thing.
he's my son, youngest son, contacted me tonight. He goes, Dad, this new Pope looks just like Lord Palpatine or whatever his name
Yeah.
is from Star Wars. And I said, he does too. He showed me a photo, and I said, well, there you go. So I'm really proud that he spotted that.
Yeah. He's another
And
Ashkenazi blooded
yeah,
fiend as well.
yes, this is a big story though. And so the fact he's used the word Leo
Mm-hmm.
or the name Leo, there'll be a big there for sure.
The lion.
The
The
lion,
lion.
lie on.
Lion. Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, so it's always right there to be seen. You have to want to not know what's going on in this place not to see it. You have to actively want to be
Yeah,
ignorant.
yeah, exactly. You have to be in denial,
Yeah.
and that's not the river in Egypt, the
Yeah.
denial. You've got to be in denial when you see your mainstream media, use characters that are being thrown at you from Ronald McDonald, the President of
Yeah.
America, to
Yeah.
Leo the Lion on
Yeah.
the stage of the Pope's seat.
Yeah, the
You've seen
14th. Yeah, go ahead.
the 14th. Well, the 14th. What do you think? That's the delete anyway,
Well,
isn't it?
it's the 14th. Reduce it to 5. It's just another false sense. They're going to give you this
False sense.
whole, yeah, it's a false sense. The 5 is always the senses, because the 5 is your 5 senses, obviously, but it's also the balance. It's what you see as a reflection. It's
After you walk out the door, the delete,
yeah,
you've got
yeah.
the
It's like,
5. Yeah.
yeah,
Yep.
you touch, you gotta touch it, man. And what do you feel? What do you see? What do you taste? What do you hear? You know?
Fantastic.
Yeah, you gotta.
Fantastic.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, man. So, oh, hey, we're also about all this stuff and the idea of schematics and blah, 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 is if you, the Tron movie, which we've talked about before, actually, there's a new Tron coming out in October, which is
Wow.
called Tron Aries. I'm in
That's
Aries. If
the
you look at star signs, Because
Yes,
I know that you're a star signs
I'm.
fan.
Oh yeah, I'm fascinated,
Yeah, I
fascinated,
would be an
absolutely fascinated.
Aries.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
So then,
yeah, a man who speaks his mind and doesn't care what people think. That's
yeah,
Aries.
yeah. So
Yeah.
Sean Aries is they spell it Ares. It's going to be
Isn't that the same as what that strange woman? Didn't she call her tour the Aries tour or whatever
mm,
that very frightening thing? Who's now one of the she packs out stadiums. What's her name? Taylor Swift.
oh
She
Taylor
just
Swift.
her tour.
Yeah,
Look at
yeah.
the
She
name
has
of
some.
her last tour was called the
Uh,
Aries tour. Yeah.
mm-hmm.
No coincidence. This is
No
obviously
coin.
there's a big no
Well,
coincidence. Yeah.
well, Ares Ares is the Greek god of war. So it's
Well, isn't
just
that a coincidence? And
it's
what are you seeing in the media? We got India. I
right.
said to Frank, the wonderful salt guy, the other day. I said, "Don't you think that this is just? Yeah, I mean, could this just be two countries that are actually linked, by blood and everything, pretending to have a fight so they can
Well,
dissipate their
all war's a
population?"
hoax. All war's a
That's right.
hoax anyway, from the get go, from the beginning of all time, from the beginning. I don't care how many generations. All war is a hoax. It's all controlled demolition and strategic relocation to move people around the playing board,
Well, guess
the
what they're
plane of
doing at the
existence.
moment? They're moving those people from
Yep.
Pakistan
Flip.
and India all the
Yeah.
way
Point
over
A to point
here,
B.
point A to point B.
They move them from here to here to here to here. Bring them into cities. Get them out of the country. Because that's where
Boom.
you can make money. The power bills, the blah blah blah. You get all that. Jobs are created. X, Y, and Z. Boom, you're done.
Mm. And so you can fit into the Tony Robbins mode of be positive, go out and work hard and just worship God of money, the
Yeah,
God of
you
money.
want to go to work tomorrow in a helicopter. You didn't do it because you
Yeah.
didn't want to do it. And you're like,
Listen,
okay, I
you got
can
to
do it.
listen to this. Have a good look. Watch this guy's face when he's doing his shows. When he talks, he's sounding more and more demonic. He's got a very gruff, gotta talk like this, like he sounds like a wrestler from the 70s or the 80s in one of the, his fake
Uh-huh.
wrestling shows.
Oh, yeah.
Tony Robbins' face and his voice, he's definitely been controlled by something other,
Oh,
um,
for sure.
mm,
For sure.
100%. Mm.
So I was talking in our on the Discord thing earlier with someone, and they were talking about the 99 Red Balloons song, and that's an so-called
Nina,
anti-war song. Yeah. And
yeah,
and it fits also in because all those balloons, all those stories, all those songs that are claiming to be anti this or anti, but they're anti an idea that's not real.
yeah,
So even their concern is false. Their 99 red balloons are 99 false balloons. Just like that one balloon that Pennywise holds out and tries to
that's
tempt
right.
you to get into
And
the
we'll all
sewer.
float, and we all float down here.
Yeah.
We all
Yeah.
float down here. Yeah.
Yeah. So then the more red balloons you decide to carry, you're going to be like the little boy with the latchkey boy, where you float away with the little balloons. You
And
carry
that
so
actually fits
many.
in.
Yeah.
Yeah, it fits in with another Disney movie that came out with this, with a whole lot of balloons that float. This old guy was played by Lou Grant, whatever the actor that played Lou Grant, and there's a tie-in with a Disney movie. Anyway, I forget the
Uh-huh.
name, but hugely popular film, huge film. When you had children, young children that had to go and see these terrible movies, and I had to see them, Dave. I'm telling you, I spent 20-something years taking kids to movies back in the
Uh-huh.
day. And I used to sit there watching, going, "There's more into the story than what they're telling you." You could see it. Pixar,
Now, are
Disney.
you talking about the 56 red balloon movie with that little
No,
squirt that, no?
well, yeah, yeah, no, well, that ties in with it. No, it was a movie, and it had what's the name? The actor that now, by coincidence, the same actor that played Lou Grant and Mary Tyler Moore. That's another
Uh-huh.
MTM. There's a there.
Uh-huh.
Um, he's in charge of the architects and engineers against 9/11 for 9/11 Truth. He was one of their spokesmen, I do believe.
So
The
so
same
Ed
guy. Now,
Asner?
Ed Asner. Now, he was
Oh.
in the movie. that features balloons. All of they actually, I'm going to go. No, I won't. I was going to go and ask, but I could.
Uh-huh.
Live on air, but no, I won't. But
Oh, was it a cartoon? Was it the Up
yeah, it was
cartoon?
called Away. I think it's called Away. It
No, it's
was
called Up
Up or
2009.
Up.
Up. Yeah,
That's the one.
Up.
That's the one.
Yeah.
That's the one. Now that features
2009,
balloons.
9 plus 2
2009, 11.
equals 11. Yeah.
Fantastic. Hey,
Yeah.
look, how can we have so many synchronicities when we just talk randomly? It
Yeah.
happens. This is this is one of the greatest shows ever out there. There's a lot of good shows out there, but this is up there. Pardon the pun, Ed Ass in the movie,
Up.
but it's got what you're saying is actually all to me. I'm connecting so many different things at the
Oh,
same
yeah.
time as you're talking to me. So it's fabulous. Another fabulous episode. Another one that's always better than the last episode. Always better than the last episode. But Bongversations gets better each episode you move up. I
Yeah,
mean,
for
out to
sure.
32, and next week or whenever you can do it, but be it
We'll be
next week
33.
or the week 33. And we're going to do 33 because that is a very, very important number that they are throwing at us non-stop.
I should
Non-stop. So,
republish that uh episode I did with Crow 777.
hey, do so.
I did
Do
the
so.
33. I did this episode 7 with him. I did episode 33. So that would have been back in 2016 or
Wow.
2018, sometime back then. So I did
I
episode
think he should be
7.
contacting you. I think
Yeah.
he should be doing another show with you, to be honest,
Mm-hmm.
Dave. I'm going to say that.
Mm. Yeah, and then and I did 200 and something. So but the thing is, he's more of the, he's kind of in the world now a bit.
I don't
So
know. Yeah,
he's not ready
well,
to
I
come
do
out.
like his guests. I like his guests, and I do listen. I stopped for a while, but I do listen. And he's about the same age as me, I guess, within a year or so. And he does look. At least he's prepared to say he's wrong when he's wrong, and he has been wrong early on the piece. But I think he doesn't like to have anything too radical. I think you're probably too radical.
Yeah, a bit.
That's the Aries. That's the Aries.
Yeah.
It's, you're not going to back down.
No, I'll let him catch up. I'll
Yeah.
be up here. I'll be up here waiting. I'll let him catch up.
I think he's probably listening.
Yeah, when they're ready to stop playing around, I'm ready to talk to them.
Yeah, this was a really good show, Dave. I'm going to have to say this now. It's clicked my synapses, and I've put things together, and I have to go out and do more research.
Nice.
As everyone that's listening to the show, if you're listening to the show, do your own research. Get out there, read some books, talk to people. Go and talk to people, and because this is not entry level, this is exit level.
And
stuff.
even draw, do drawings, write stuff down, go from point A to point B, from 1 to 2 to 3.
Especially
and
colors too, especially the
colors
colors.
for sure.
Yeah, it's
and
like
even just like the sigil idea, and with the XIV making the sigil of Lucifer. I saw that right away. As soon as I saw that, I was like,
yeah, it's fantastic. That's good stuff, man.
And then then you know for a fact that the influence over that character is. You don't need to be in the dark. You don't need to wonder what their motivation is. You already know it. And then everything that comes out from them is just going to show you that. And you just keep testing as things happen, and you just dismiss those that you don't need.
And I remember, interesting, there's a song called Jesus Just Left Chicago by ZZ Top. And that's where the new Pope comes from, Chicago. And they probably left for a good reason.
So does what's his nuts? Barack Obama.
He was he was quite well known in certain bathhouses around Chicago, I do believe. So
that was part of the story. Yeah,
that was part of the story.
He was a plumber. They call them plumbers.
Fantastic. Hey man, I think we should wind it up because I think we've fucking you've done it again.
All right, nice.
So let's Conversation 32, going to 33 next week or the week
after. I have
after.
a bit of housekeeping to do. YouTube doesn't send me notifications, so I've missed some responses to comments, so I'll be getting to those this week. I have to go to each video though. I have to go to each video and find the comments and then
Oh, too
respond to
much
them.
hard work, man. Too
Yeah,
much hard work.
it's so I will do that. I will do that this week because I want to see if anybody's going to look at some of the original episodes, and they are. But if there's any
Yeah,
questions left,
well, before we go, it's if you want to see, if you want to hear them with music on, you go to truthmeets.com, and you can listen to 1 to 22 with a mix and music at the end of them.
uh-huh.
Or Dave J's got them on his YouTube account, but
Yeah.
truthmeets.com. You'll listen, and you can also listen to my Be Told shows, which I completely rave about any given subject under the sun, but it's usually relevant, but not up there like these shows. These are what we need. This is important stuff for those really seeking truth
Right.
out there.
Thank you. Thank you.
Hey, Dave,
So,
man, that was
yeah.
an awesome show. You can send the bot out whenever you want.
Okay. So, yeah. Cheers, everybody.